Let's look at the relationship of action and result in this video. Action result points to the relationship between an action and a consequence or a result. A consequence or a result which accompanies that action. The relationship between an action and a consequence or a result which accompanies that action. Some of the key words that you're going to see in action and result are so that, just the word that by itself, or sometimes you'll see with the result that, or something like that. So that will be most commonly pointing to this relationship of action result, but sometimes a phrase like with the result that will also point you to this relationship of action result. The symbol we use when we're arcing is ACRES, action result, which will differentiate it from action manner, or in a future video we'll see action purpose. There's three action relationships that you'll want to differentiate from. So action, result, and what we'll do is within our arcs, we will label these as action, result, and draw one arc over the top of both propositions to define that the relationship here is one of action and result. Let me give you an example of what this looks like in a text, and we'll arc a scripture text together. Genesis 45:2, and he wept aloud so that, there's our key words, so that the Egyptians heard it, and here's a key word pointing us to the relationship of series or maybe of progression, and we can keep that in mind as we arc this out. The household of Pharaoh heard it. So we have three propositions, and he wept aloud so that the Egyptians heard it, comma, and the household of Pharaoh heard it. So let's write this out as three propositions so we can identify the relationship between them. And he wept aloud so that the Egyptians heard it, comma, and the household of Pharaoh, Pharaoh heard it. So this is verse 2. So let's label these 2A, B, and C. Draw our line, an arc over each proposition, and then consider the relationship between each proposition. And we already said he wept aloud so that points to this relationship of action and result. The result of his, or the consequence of him weeping so loudly, weeping aloud, was that the Egyptians heard it and the household of Pharaoh heard it. So actually we have a series, I think, not a progression probably, because these seem to be equally contributing. There's not a stair step. This isn't moving toward a climax here, but this is two results. The Egyptians and the household of Pharaoh all heard it. So I'm going to define this relationship first. A series, you'll often find that a coordinate relationship listed like this is the first thing that you'll want to define before moving on to the other relationships in a passage. But that brings us to the relationship, the example that we're looking at here of action result, so that these two things resulted. So then we have an action here, an action, and a result, and we label that under one arc. And we'll remember that we have an action and result relationship here in Genesis 45:2, and this is an example of how to arc the action and result relationship.